Football is a team game, but some individual players like to do things their way. Here are the greatest Mavericks in football history. Diego Maradona. Diego Maradona was one of the greatest players of all time. He was also a natural-born entertainer with a rebellious streak. Could we have had one without the other? Nah, probably not. Diego had a left foot to die for, and he achieved some incredible things during his career, like inspiring Argentina to World Cup glory and Napoli to Serie A success. He wasn't an easy character to deal with, though. Barcelona sold Maradona after he started a mass brawl at the end of the 1984 Copa del Rey final. At Napoli, he got mixed up with the Camorra, the city's mafia-like criminal gang. He was also a close friend of the controversial Cuban leader Fidel Castro. In 1991, Maradona was banned for 15 months after testing positive for cocaine. 3 years later, he was booted out of the World Cup after failing another drug test. Right until the end, Diego did things his way. George Best. "I spent a lot of money on booze, birds and fast cars," George Best once said. "The rest I just squandered." The Manchester United icon was one of the first celebrity footballers. Best's extravagant lifestyle meant he was frequently on the front pages of the newspapers, as well as the back ones. The Northern Irishman was a gifted winger who formed part of United's Holy Trinity, alongside Bobby Charlton and Dennis Law. He was also a playboy who loved partying, drinking and womanizing. He had his own nightclub in Manchester and also owned fashion boutiques and a string of restaurants in the city. Best dated a Miss World from Sweden and was likened to the Beatles for his impact on youth culture. Sadly, alcoholism led to his downfall, and Best passed away aged just 59. Eric Cantona. If Alex Ferguson is the most influential man in Manchester United's modern history, Eric Cantona is probably number 2. The Frenchman was the final piece in the jigsaw at Old Trafford. He brought flair and imagination to Ferguson's team, helping United win 4 of the first 5 Premier League titles. Cantona was a big personality. Just listen to how Roy Keane, who's not exactly a shrinking violet, spoke about him. Collar turned up, back straight, chest stuck out. Eric glided into the arena as if he owned the place. Whether it was kung fu kicking an opposition fan, insulting Didier Deschamps, or retiring from football aged 30, Cantona was one of a kind. Mario Balotelli. Why always you, Mario? Maybe it has something to do with setting off fireworks in your own house or wearing an AC Milan shirt on live TV when you play for Inter. Balotelli's career has fizzled out and he didn't live up to the potential he showed as a youngster. Maybe he was just too much of a maverick. After all, this is a player who tried to score with a showboating trick when he was clean through on goal in a Manchester City friendly. Many of the stories about Mario aren't actually true, but some of them are, such as his spontaneous visit to a women's prison because he was curious about what it was like inside. Balotelli had some brilliant moments on the pitch, but he'll be remembered for his off-field antics above all else. Paul Gascoigne. Of all the world-class players England has produced over the years, Paul Gascoigne might just be the most naturally talented. At his finest, Gazza would have walked into any team on the planet. A genius on the field, he was eccentric off it. Gascoigne was a showman who wanted to entertain, whether that was by dribbling past opponents or just making people laugh. Everyone in football has a favourite Gascoigne story. This is a man who hid fish in his teammates' cars, burped into a microphone at a Lazio press conference, and drove the Middlesbrough team bus away from the training ground after stealing the keys from the driver. Gascoigne was a free spirit on and off the pitch. Not many players have brought more joy to the public than he has. Rene Higita. Rene Higita is best known for his scorpion kick save against England at Wembley. That wasn't out of character. The Colombian keeper performed madcap antics like that all the time. Traditionally, goalkeepers are more risk-averse than players in other positions. Not Higita. He thought he was a number 10, not a number 1. El Loco loved to dribble the ball up the pitch. Sometimes he even made it all the way to the halfway line. Higita took the concept of a sweeper-keeper to whole new levels. He also took free kicks and penalties and scored almost 50 goals for club and country. Higita once ended up in prison after getting involved in a kidnapping plotted by Pablo Escobar. He was also friends with Diego Maradona and, just like the Argentine, was banned in 2004 after testing positive for cocaine. Brian Clough. When Brian Clough received an OBE for his services to football, he suggested the initials stood for Old Big Ed. That's an apt nickname for a man who once remarked, "They say Rome wasn't built in a day, but it wasn't on that particular job." It's fair to say Cloughy wasn't a shy and retiring character. The former Derby and Nottingham Forest boss was full of himself, but he backed it up with some extraordinary achievements. More than 40 years on, it's still remarkable that he won back-to-back European Cups with a club like Forest. Clough was just as comfortable in front of the TV cameras as he was in the dugout. Handsome, witty and charismatic to the core, he was arguably the biggest Maverick manager the game has ever seen. Vinnie Jones. Vinnie Jones epitomised the Wimbledon team of the 80s and 90s. That side played long ball football with an emphasis on physicality, and they were proud of it. It brought the Dons huge success too. Top-half finishes in the Premier League and FA Cup glory in 1988. Wimbledon were known as the Crazy Gang for their antics on and off the pitch. Jones was often the orchestrator of pranks, which included cutting up players' clothes and stripping teammates naked when it was their birthday. A tough-tackling midfielder, Jones was prepared to do anything to gain the upper hand over his opponents. Paul Gascoigne can vouch for that. Edmundo. Edmundo was the wild child of Brazilian football in the 1990s. A skillful and technically gifted striker, he was also a difficult character who was nicknamed the Animal for his bad behaviour on and off the pitch. Edmundo's rap sheet includes shoving a referee in the face, kicking over TV cameras and instigating a 22-man brawl, and the intervention of riot police by slapping and then punching an opponent. Controversy dogged the striker throughout his career, and he even managed to get in hot water with animal rights groups while playing in Italy. At one of his regular parties in Florence, Edmundo was pictured feeding his pet chimpanzee beer and whiskey. The Brazilian liked to drink or two himself. He even insisted on a special clause in his contract with Vasco da Gama that banned the club from interfering in his private life. The nightclub owners of Rio de Janeiro must have been absolutely delighted. Jamie Vardy. Jamie Vardy might be a Premier League superstar and multi-millionaire these days, but that wasn't always the case. The striker didn't hone in his trade at a shiny academy with pristine facilities. Vardy worked his way up the lower leagues, combining playing for Stocksbridge Park Steels with working in a factory. Vardy's path to the top was unusual, and he's a non-conformist in other ways too. A former Leicester teammate, Richie Delat, claimed that Vardy used to drink beer and eat pizza the day before a game. On match day itself, the striker's admitted he drinks 3 cans of Red Bull and prefers a pre-match meal of ham and cheese omelette to the more common chicken and pasta. When it comes to celebrating goals, you're more likely to see Vardy goading opposition fans than hugging his teammates. Leicester fans wouldn't change him for the world. Who else would you add to our list of football's biggest Mavericks? Let us know in the comments section, then hit subscribe.